Hi guys, Larry with Kilo, and today we're going to talk a little bit about omega-3s, or more specifically fish oil, because there can be a difference in there. So omega-3s or fish oil, that's a fat, right? So it's a good fat, and one that we find is probably not in your diet or my diet as much as they should be. If you think about what you ate for the past week, how many times did you have a serving of fish? You know, it's pretty rare. And what we want to do is not just understand I need to eat more fish, but what we ideally will do is probably going to be supplement with omega-3 fish oils. And you can see in this case we're talking about Kilo's omega-3, and it just says omega-3, but what it really is, it's the fish oil. Specifically, you're getting EPA and DHA, and those are really the most important of the oils we get from fish. And the reason I say there's a distinction between omega-3s and fish oil is because if you look up here, we've got this whole category of omega-3s. And I put under it, you've got flax. A lot of people like flax in their salads or something like that. Cheese has a decent amount of omega-3. Grass-fed meats have omega-3s. But they have an omega-3 fatty acid that's kind of up here on the conversion cascade. And so what there are enzymes in here that have to come in and convert this into these other fatty acids like EPA and DHA. And what happens is this is a very inefficient conversion. So if we're only getting flax and cheese and maybe grass-fed meats and think that's enough to get EPA and DHA, it's really not, because the body doesn't convert this into this very well. The nice thing about fish or fish oil is we're already getting these EPA and DHA. If you look over here at omega-6s, right, we all heard omega-6s, omega-3s, these are just different fats. So omega-6s are the fats we get from things like nuts and seeds and red meat. This would be like arachidonic acid. But what happens, now why do we even care about any of this? So if we look at this, omega-6s, when the body uses them, they use it in a way that creates a pro-inflammatory state. So this is, we'll just use I and F for inflammation. Okay, so this is pro-inflammatory. And what they've found is when we have sufficient amounts of omega-3, and omega-3s, omega-6s, all the fats that we consume, they incorporate themselves into our cell membranes. So if you remember from biology courses, every single cell membrane we have has what's called a lipid bilayer, which just means 2 layers of fat. And those 2 layers of fat are going to be really good fats, or maybe bad fats, or maybe it's just an imbalance of too much omega-6, not enough omega-3, because these aren't inherently bad. It's just when our balance is off that we start to notice problems in the body, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But what happens here, when we get EPA, DHA, down here, this is converted when the body uses them through all its little enzymatic processes. What they found, you probably already guessed this, it has an anti-inflammatory effect. So inflammation is not inherently bad, but too much pro-inflammatory without the balance of the anti-inflammatory, which basically means the starting of the process and the stopping of the process. When these are out of balance, we have too much inflammation, and that's when it becomes a problem. So when we have not enough of really these guys, when we're low in this, what goes with that is an increased risk of heart disease, more inflammation in the body. So what's that translate to? More aches and pains, slower recovery from workouts. You wake up in the morning and just feel kind of stiff and sore, rather than waking up and just feeling like you're ready to go. That's sometimes what we would see in the people that are low in EPA and DHA. We'll see when people are low in these, we'll also see more likelihood of neurological and mood disorders. So we've talked about that with some others, vitamin D and magnesium. It's going to show up here as well. When we're low in EPA and DHA, they're more likely to have issues with just brain function, so all the neurotransmitters. So maybe we'll see things like our stress response, but more specifically things like our serotonin levels. Those will be affected by having low levels of EPA and DHA. Because remember, these fish oils, these fats, incorporate themselves into every cell membrane, which includes all the cell membranes that are in our brain. Because if you remember, again, from biology, that our brain is a big ball of fat. So we want really good fats to help our brains function properly. So the goal is not to eliminate omega-6s. These are, if you look at nuts and seeds, those are fine. Well, the goal is to get a balance, a better balance of omega-6 to omega-3. So we need to put probably 1 to 2 grams per day of EPA and DHA back into our diet. And that's usually going to be in the form of a supplement. But if you're someone that's really ready to add more fish to your diet, go for it. That's great too. We want to see that as well. But we need a balance of omega-3 to omega-6.